Part 1, Introduction and General Model. Part 2, CC Evaluation Methodology. Part 3, Extensions to the methodology. 3 parts of the Common Evaluation Methodology. This part of the CEM describes agreed-upon principles of evaluation and introduces agreed-upon evaluation terminology dealing with the process of evaluation. Part 1, Introduction and General Model. Part 2, CC Evaluation Methodology. This part of the CEM takes full advantage of the evaluation results. This part includes topics such as guidance on the composition and content of evaluation document deliverables. Part 3, Extensions to the methodology. Bell-LaPadula Model, BIPA Integrity Model, Clark and Wilson Model, Non-Interference Model, State Machine Model, Access Matrix Model, Information Flow Model. Security models that help evaluators determine if the implementation of a reference monitor meets the design requirements. The 2 security models that were a major influence for the TCSEC and ITSEC. Bell-LaPadula Model and the BIPA Integrity Model. Bell-LaPadula Model. BIPA Integrity Model. A security model that proposes well-formed transactions. It requires mathematical proof that steps are performed in order exactly as they are listed, authenticates the individuals who perform the steps, and defines separation of duties. Clark and Wilson Model. A security model that covers ways to prevent subjects operating in one domain from affecting each other in violation of security policy. Covers ways to prevent subjects operating in one domain from affecting each other in violation of security policy. A security model that acts as an abstract mathematical model consisting of state variables and transition functions. State machine mode. A security model that acts as a state machine model for a discretionary access control environment. Access matrix model. A security model that simplifies analysis of covert channels. A covert channel is a communication channel that allows 2 cooperating processes of different security levels to transfer information in a way that violates a system's security policy. Information flow model. Which of the following terms best describes the primary concern of the BIPA security model? A. Confidentiality. B. Reliability. C. Availability. D. Integrity. D. Integrity explanation. The BIPA model covers integrity levels, which are analogs to the sensitivity levels from the Bell-LaPadula model. Integrity levels cover inappropriate modification of data and prevent unauthorized users from making modifications to resources and data. Which of the following events is considered a man-made disaster? A. Earthquake. B. Tornado. C. Flooding caused by a broken water main. D. Labor walkout. Labor walkout. Which of the following is the #1 priority of disaster response? A. Hardware protection. B. Software protection. C. Transaction processing. D. Personnel safety. D. Personnel safety. Involves reviewing the risks to organizational procedures. Business continuity plan. Focuses on policies and procedures that make a disruptive event have a little impact on the business. Business continuity plan. Criminal law. Civil law. Administrative law. The first major piece of cybercrime-specific legislation in the United States. It was written to exclusively cover computer crimes that crossed state boundaries to avoid infringing on states' rights. Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. True. 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 The documents released in 1991 provided punishment guidelines to help federal judges interpret computer crime laws. Three major provisions of these guidelines have had a lasting impact on the information security community. Federal Sentencing Guidelines. The three major provisions of the Federal Sentencing Guidelines. National Information Infrastructure Protection Act of 1996. The Federal Information Security Management Act of 2002. The group responsible for developing the FISMA implementation guidelines. The National Institute of Standards and Technology. True. A series of bills signed into law by Barack Obama in 2014 that modernized the federal government's approach to cybersecurity issues. Federal Cybersecurity Laws of 2014. A set of standards designed to serve as a voluntary risk-based framework for securing information and systems. The NIST Cybersecurity Framework. Commonly used NIST standard, security and privacy controls for federal information systems and organizations. This standard is required for use in federal computing systems and is also commonly used as an industry cybersecurity benchmark. NIST SP 800-53. NIST SP 800-171. Laws that guarantee the creators of original works of authorship protection against the unauthorized duplication of their work. There are 8 broad categories. Copyright laws. A hotly debate in 1998 which turned into an act to help the rapidly changing digital landscape that was stretching the reach of existing copyright law. Digital Millennium Copyright Act. The first major division of the DCMA was designed to protect copy prevention mechanisms placed on what kind of medium? CDs and DVDs. True. T or F service providers for causing, search engines and the storage of data must take prompt action to remove copyrighted materials upon notification of the infringement. True. Law that protects words, slogans, and logos used to identify a company and its products or services. Trademark law. T or F. The main objective of trademark protection is to avoid confusion in the marketplace while protecting the intellectual property rights of people and organizations. True. T or F. Trademarks do not need to be officially registered to gain protection under the law. Conveys trademark protection as of the date of filing provided that you actually use the trademark in commerce within a certain time period. Intent to use application. True. T or F. In the United States, trademarks are granted for an initial period of 10 years and can be renewed for unlimited successive 10-year periods. True. Patents. The 3 main requirements for a patent. Businesses that exist solely as companies that derive their revenue by engaging in legal action against companies that they feel infringe upon the patents held in their portfolio. Patent trolls. This category of copyright law protects intellectual property of businesses, property that is absolutely critical to their business, and significant damage would result if it were disclosed to competitors and/or the public. Trade secret. True. T or F. Copyrights and patents both provide protection for a limited period of time. Once your legal protection expires, other firms are free to use your work at will. True. T or F. Trade secret protection is one of the best ways to protect computer software. True. T or F patent law does not provide adequate protection for computer software products. True. T or F copyright law protects only the actual text of the source code and doesn't prohibit others from rewriting your code in a different form and accomplishing the same objective. True. Economic Espionage Act of 1996. This category of copyright law protects software licensing agreements. Licensing. A type of licensing agreement which uses a written contract between the software vendor and the customer outlining the responsibilities of each. These agreements are commonly found for high-priced and/or highly specialized software packages. Contractual license agreements. A type of licensing agreement which are written on the outside of the software packaging. They commonly include a clause stating that you acknowledge agreement to the terms of the contract simply by breaking the shrink-wrap seal on the package. Shrink-wrap license agreement. Click-through license agreement. A type of licensing agreement which users, in their excitement to access a new service, simply click their way through the agreement without reading it and may unwittingly bind their entire organization to onerous terms and conditions. Cloud Services License Agreement. A federal regulation that controls the export of items that are specifically designated as military and defense items, including technical information related to those items. The items covered under this regulation appear on a list called the United States Munitions List. The International Traffic in Arms Regulations. The Export Administration Regulations. The direct interpretation of this amendment prohibits government agents from searching private property without a warrant and probable cause. Fourth Amendment. The Privacy Act of 1974. An act that makes it a crime to invade the electronic privacy of an individual. Electronic Communications Privacy Act of 1986. An act amended to the Electronic Communications Privacy Act of 1986. This act requires all communications carriers to make wiretaps possible for law enforcement with an appropriate court order, regardless of the technology in use. Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act of 1994. An act that extends the definition of property to include proprietary economic information so that the theft of this information can be considered industrial or corporate espionage. This changed the legal definition of theft so that it was no longer restricted by physical constraints. Economic Espionage Act of 1996. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Congress amended HIPAA by passing this act. This law updated many of HIPAA's privacy and security requirements and was implemented through the HIPAA Omnibus Rule in 2013. This amendment to HIPAA allowed for coverages during data breaches. Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health. This act makes a series of demands on websites that cater to children or knowingly collect information from children. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act of 1998. Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999. USA Patriot Act of 2001. Another specialized privacy bill that affects any educational institution that accepts any form of funding from the federal government. It grants certain privacy rights to students older than 18 and the parents of minor students. Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. In 1998, the President signed this act, which makes identity theft a crime against the person whose identity was stolen and provides severe criminal penalties for anyone found guilty of violating this law. Identity Theft and Assumption Deterrence Act. passed in 1995 by the EU Parliament, a sweeping directive outlining privacy measures that must be in place for protecting personal data processed by information systems. European Union Privacy Law. True. European Union General Data Protection Regulation. T or F. The following PCI DSS are requirements: preserve the stored cardholder data, limit the physical access to cardholder data, develop and preserve secure systems and applications, monitor all access to network resources and cardholder data. True. True. Internal investigations that examine either operational issues or a violation of the organization's policies. They may be conducted as part of a technical troubleshooting effort or in support of other administrative processes, such as human resources disciplinary procedures. Administrative investigations. Operational investigations. An investigation typically conducted by law enforcement personnel investigate the alleged violation of criminal law. These investigations may result in charging suspects with a crime and the prosecution of those charges in criminal court. Criminal investigations. An investigation that typically does not involve law enforcement but rather involves internal employees and outside consultants working on behalf of a legal team. They prepare the evidence necessary to present a case in civil court resolving a dispute between two parties. Civil investigations. Civil investigations. Regulatory investigations. Electronic discovery. True. There are three basic requirements for evidence to be introduced into a court of law. Admissible evidence. The evidence must be relevant to determining a fact. The fact that the evidence seeks to determine must be material to the case. The evidence must be competent, meaning it must have been obtained legally. Evidence that results from an illegal search would be inadmissible because it is not competent. Admissible evidence. Real evidence, documentary evidence, testimonial evidence. Three types of evidence can be used in a court of law. Real evidence. Documentary evidence. True. Chain of evidence. True. A type of evidence that consisting of the testimony of a witness, either verbal testimony in court or written testimony in a recorded deposition. Testimonial evidence. This organization outlines 6 principles to guide digital evidence technicians as they perform media analysis, network analysis, and software analysis in the pursuit of forensically recovered evidence. The International Organization on Computer Evidence. 6 principles to guide digital evidence technicians.